Hello, I'm Hal Hubener, and welcome to Cover to Cover. Maritime archaeology is a fascinating discipline, and it takes in several subspecialties: history, anthropology, economics, technology, conservation and preservation, to name a few. And for those of you who might be interested in what you can do locally in this area, there is a chapter of the Archaeological Society of Virginia, the Patrick Henry chapter. It meets regularly at the Virginia Museum of Natural History. You can call that organization and make inquiries there. On the show this week, we're going to talk about maritime archaeology with my guest, Jason Lunds, who is a laboratory technician at VMNH. Welcome to the show, Jason.
Thank you, Hal, for having me here today.
Sure. Let's start with your background, your academic background, some of your experience in this area, if you will.
I actually got or received a good bit of my training in maritime archaeology through a different means. I was actually a geology student at the College William & Mary in Williamsburg, and I actually did my senior research on some of the corrosion processes that were ongoing within the Confederate submarine H.L. Hunley. That is where I get the bulk of my academic background from, but I've always had a passion for maritime archaeology, going as far back as I can remember.
That's probably not unusual that something like that would start in your childhood. Okay, what is it primarily? You've been with VMNH a couple of years now, is that right?
I have been with VMNH almost 2 years now. As a laboratory technician, I do a lot of different things. So I'll prepare geologic samples for our curator of earth sciences. I'll help out Elizabeth Moore, who is our curator of archaeology and anthropology at the museum. But in the time that I have available, I've been allowed to work side projects in artifact conservation with the scanning electron microscope and the energy dispersive technology we have at the museum.
Sounds very interesting, and something that requires a lot of training as well, I would imagine. Okay, I have many questions for you, Jason, but you have brought some items here, and I'd like to go ahead and have you talk about them, some published materials and also some actual artifacts that you've collected on your own.
Yes.
So have at it. I'll
go through the published media first.
Okay.
I have my unpublished senior thesis from the College William & Mary that I wrote as an undergraduate. But I also brought two far more important works. I brought actually a site report from the Portsmouth wreck, which came out here recently, that was published by Department of Historic Resources. The primary author on it is a very well-respected maritime archaeologist by the name of Gordon Watts in North Carolina. Another published work I have brought today is an assessment of cultural maritime heritage materials, and this is done largely by Dennis Blatt and Dr. Blanton at the College William & Mary and a few other authors. These two works are some of the primary literature that you can actually start to get into maritime archaeology within the Chesapeake region here within Virginia. And these books are available from the Virginia Museum of Natural History Library.
Okay, and that's open to the public.
It is.
So you have a collection there that does support maritime archaeology. If I could just stick in a note on one of my branches, also the Bassett Historical Center. They have some materials also there that support archaeology in the area. So there are some libraries that citizens here can go to for more information.
Touching on the artifacts real quickly, when I was a boy growing up on the coastal plain of Virginia, I didn't know as a youngster that you're supposed to leave artifacts where they are. So two of these artifacts here were actually part of my just walking up and down beaches on the coastal plain of Virginia. This little medicine bottle from Norfolk, Virginia is one of those, as well as this whiskey bottle here was found near it. You're actually supposed to leave these artifacts in situ so that they can be preserved and studied. You take them out of their context and you really cannot glean any information from them. Knowing this now, I had been trying to go back and actually identify these sites and get them into the historic registry through the Department of Historic Resources. But I've recently been accepted to graduate school, so I will have to put that off for a few months at least before I go back. Another one of the artifacts is another bottle, this mallet bottle from about 1745 or so. It's really, really interesting. This is the type of thing that unfortunately gets looted off of shipwrecks because it has intrinsic value. And sadly to say, Virginia does not have the most comprehensive of laws to protect submerged cultural resources. There was one law passed in 1974, but it is not all-encompassing. It's really these artifacts and their context and shipwrecks in general, or even dockworks, that help us better understand how ideas and thoughts and material came over to this country, as well as ideas were shipped back to the old world as well. There was this mixture of technology ideas, and the boat is really the transport medium up until the last century of the bulk of those ideas. It shaped technology such as watches, because we needed to know how to get around. We needed better watches to actually determine that. Harrison and his H4 chronometer was the first version to do this. This is a version from the 1840s of a very similar watch. All of these things are wrapped up together to build
a comprehensive picture of
a comprehensive picture.
Yeah, it does seem that maybe we focused in our writing on history of, okay, they came over from Europe, got off the boat, they expand the frontier. What happened to the boat? What about the boat? Wasn't that not only the transportation but a key technological component, as you pointed out?
And when a boat goes down, because it's not only carrying the goods, but it's also carrying the personal belongings of the crew, it is in essence a time capsule of the thoughts, the work, and everything else that was on board that boat when it went down. So it is a great record-keeping device of not only time and place, but also ideas and thoughts as well.
Okay. Back to the bottles for a minute. You take them out. Is there anything that you can do if they're taken out of the water to preserve them?
Generally, you have to take them either immediately to a conservation center or preferably leave them in situ. Glass does not deteriorate like some other materials like metals or wood as rapidly, but it does deteriorate. There's a process known as the vitrification where actually a lot of the material in the glass is already leached out. And it may look transparent and it may look fine when you remove it from the water, but it may crumble to a powder when it has no water to support its internal structure anymore.
So that's a very important lesson that people need to know when they go hunting for artifacts. I think I read on the site of the Archaeological Society of Virginia that a lot of the research and actual excavation work is done by what are called avocational archaeologists. Can you explain how they differ from degreed, credentialed professional archaeologists and what their role is in the process of research and excavation?
The Archaeological Society of Virginia is primarily made out of people called avocational archaeologists. They're not archaeologists with a master's degree or something higher. They may hold a bachelor's degree or an associate's degree. They're more people who are interested in history and they want to participate in archaeology, but they do not have the academic background to publish or work in the field. These individuals do volunteer work. They work as volunteers in labs. They actually attend the Archaeological Society of Virginia and contribute that way. So there is an accreditation program in the Archaeological Society of Virginia now that I must give great credit to Carol Nash at James Madison University to actually take some of these avocational archaeologists and get them accredited so that they can actually work in the field as techs in the field.
Okay. Does this mean that there's